It is that time of year once again. Time for some playoff predictions that will be wrong. Probably, most likely. Anyways, I'm going to give you my full playoff preview and predictions. We're going to go race by race. I'm going to tell you who I think is going to win every single race, who I think is going to advance to each round, and who eventually will win the championship. Now, the playoff schedule is much different this year. In the past, we have seen some tracks that are usually later in the playoffs, they've moved up to earlier in the playoffs, and some tracks that had been removed from the playoffs are coming back to the playoffs. So let's look at the playoff schedule. The first round consists of Darlington, Kansas, and Bristol. Darlington has been the playoff opener for the past few years now, so that stays the same. Kansas was usually in the round of 8, so they move up earlier in the schedule to the middle of the first round. And Bristol has been the cutoff race for the last couple of years now, so that stays the same as well. As for the second round, Talladega and the Roval are the same. Talladega is the middle race in the round of 12. The Roval is the cutoff race, but the opening race in the round of 12 is different. It is now Texas. Texas has traditionally been in the round of 8. As for the round of 8 tracks, it is a completely different look for 2/3 of it. Vegas moves from earlier in the playoffs, usually the round of 12, or maybe even round of 16 for a bit there. They are now the opening race for the round of 8. And Homestead Miami Speedway, after hosting the championship for almost 20 years, had a couple years off, not in the playoffs. It is back in the playoffs as the middle race in the round of 8. And Martinsville, once again, is the cutoff race. It's been that for the past few years now. As for the championship race, once again, it is at Phoenix. It has been the championship race since 2020. So we return to Phoenix once again. Now that you know the playoff schedule, you want to know the 16 drivers who are in this playoff, don't you? Of course, some of you may already know this, but I'm going to remind everyone. Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, Kyle Larson, William Byron, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, Kevin Harvick, Christopher Bell, Kyle Busch, Chase Briscoe, Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, Alex Bowman, and Austin Dillon. Those are your playoff drivers. 15 of those guys got into the playoffs by wins. Only one guy got in by points, and that is Ryan Blaney. Blaney was top 5 in the regular season standings, though. So, obviously, a very interesting season, a very intense season. I think this could be one of the most competitive playoffs we could ever see. And I'm not just talking about the playoff field. I think we could see in fact, I have predicted some non-playoff guys winning some races in here, and some non-playoff guys being in contention for wins. You look at how competitive this season has been. We've seen so many different teams win. We've seen so many different teams be competitive. The guys that are outside of the playoffs, Martin Truex Jr., I could see him winning a race. The 2311 cars, Bubba Wallace, if Kurt Busch comes back, he could potentially win a race. You look even at some of the guys, Eric Jones, he's had a fantastic season. He's competed for some wins this year. So there could be some guys outside of the playoffs that could spoil the party for the playoff guys and win some races. But without any more talking about all this random stuff and what ifs and who and how, let's go to the predictions. Let's look at this first round. So, winning the playoff opener at Darlington, I think it's going to be Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson, he's been so good at Darlington in the past, but he has not won there. One of these times, I'm going to pick Darlington or Larson to win at Darlington, and he's going to do it. It's yet to happen. I think this year's the year. Larson wins the playoff opener at Darlington. As for Kansas, Toyota was so strong there in the spring, it would be almost foolish to pick against Toyota, but I think Larson could be in contention. Reddick maybe. But I think Denny Hamlin wins Kansas. Top 5 in the spring, as I said, has looked really, really good there. Toyota as a whole did. So I think Denny Hamlin wins at Kansas. So that means your first 2 guys in the round of 12 are Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin. Now for the cutoff race at Bristol. Bristol, it could be interesting. We haven't seen Bristol as pavement yet with the next-gen car. I don't know how these cars are going to perform, how the drivers are going to drive, who's going to be good, who's not. But I think Chase Elliott wins this race. Elliott has had a really good history at Bristol. He has not won a points race there, but he has won the All-Star race there back in 2020. But yeah, I think he's bound to win at Bristol, just kind of like with Larson at Darlington. I feel like he's bound to win at Bristol. He's led so many laps, or he's been up front so many times, so many top 5s. It almost feels like he's bound to win. So the 3 guys in on wins are Larson, Hamlin, and Elliott. Now, for the guys who I think should make it, will be pretty safe making it, I'm going to go with Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, Kevin Harvick, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, and Kyle Busch. I just think all those guys, these tracks either suit them well or they've just been performing so consistently well this season that I think they make it through. Logano, he won at Darlington in the spring, and he's a great Bristol driver. He's always been good there. Blaney's been so consistent this year. Harvick, Darlington, and Bristol, I think, are two great tracks for him. Reddick, I think Darlington and Kansas are two great tracks for him. Christopher Bell's been extremely consistent this year. I think Kansas will be a great track for him as well, but I think he'll do good enough at Bristol and Darlington too. And then Kyle Busch, I think that Kansas race will be a big help. I think he'll do great at Bristol as always. He's had so many wins, success there. So that is your first chunk of guys I have in the round of 12. As for those last three spots, this is where it gets complicated. We've got William Byron, Ross Chastain, Chase Briscoe, Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, Alex Bowman, and Austin Dillon. 3 spots, and let's see here. What did I say? 6 guys to fill those 3 spots. Oh boy. Chastain is a tough case. He's made some people mad this year, and a lot of them have threatened to do something, but only one has really followed through, and that's Denny Hamlin. As for the other guys, I don't see anyone else paying Chastain back unless he does something else in the playoffs. I think Hamlin would be the only one to do something, and Hamlin is focused on a championship of his own, so I really don't think Chastain will get taken out or anything unless Hamlin wins like the first race and he has an opportunity to kind of mess with him. But there are 2 great opportunities at revenge for people at the strike or in this round, Darlington and Bristol. But Chastain, he hasn't run as great the last month or so, but I think him and his teammate Daniel Suarez make it through. So I think Trackhouse, both of them get to the round of 12. This is very difficult to pick. Genuinely, I could see anyone get eliminated in this round just because it's so crazy, so chaotic, a very competitive field. But I think both of the Trackhouse guys make it. And for that last spot, who is it going to be? Bowman, Byron, Dillon, Cindric, Briscoe. I'm going with Alex Bowman, actually. A lot of you may find this controversial. A lot of you may not like this, but Bowman hasn't been great this year. He's got the win at Vegas, but he hasn't been terrible. But you look at the other guys he's up against. Dillon, he's only in because of that win at Daytona. Cindric's had his moments, but he's been pretty inconsistent. Briscoe's been pretty inconsistent. And then Byron, he started off the year great. William Byron looked like a freaking championship contender at the beginning of the year, but ever since, it's been pretty bad. He's had 1 top 10 since his Martinsville win. 1. That was back in April. So, yeah, someone could say, oh, I bet they turn it on in the playoffs, but they haven't shown any signs of turning it on since April. So, I just can't put William Byron through. He did so good at Darlington in the spring, yes, but I'm sorry. I want to see him advance. I'm a Jeff Gordon fan. I want to see the 24 car do great, but ever since Martinsville, it's been so bad for him that I can't justify putting him through. So the 4 eliminated in the first round on my playoff bracket: William Byron, Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, and Austin Dillon. Let's look at the round of 12. Round of 12, as I said, Texas, Talladega, and the Roval. So let's talk about Texas first. I think Toyota will do really good there, as they've done on the mile and a halfs. I think we could see some Fords up there. Penske looked really good there at the All-Star race. But I think Kyle Busch gets his final win for Joe Gibbs Racing right here. Assuming Kyle Busch leaves Joe Gibbs Racing, of course. This is under the assumption he leaves. But I think he gets his last win for Joe Gibbs Racing right here. I think he wins at Texas. He's had a great history at Texas. You know, he looked great at the All-Star race before blowing that tire and getting rear-ended by Chastain. But I think Kyle Busch wins at Texas. As for Talladega, I think we see a non-playoff driver win. I think Eric Jones wins, gets himself some redemption for the spring. Talladega is going to be chaotic. It's going to be wild. As always, it's a super speedway. Cars crash, playoff drivers, top contenders get taken out. It's just a matter of you can survive. So I think this is going to be crucial for some of those guys who are going to be really close in points, like Blaney, Harvick, Reddick, Bell, Chastain, Suarez, Bowman, all those guys who are going to be in a tight points position. I think they're going to be really stressed, especially if they have a bad Texas race or even a meh Texas race. So I think that's going to be a very intense race, very chaotic. But I think a non-playoff driver wins it, and I expect chaos. As for the Roval, Chevrolet has dominated the road courses the last few years. Toyota has looked terrible, and this could be the death of Toyota in the 2022 playoffs. If none of them win Texas, if they get in crashes at Talladega, and all three of them are in a must-win or in a desperate points position where they're behind in points, this could be the end because they've been terrible on the road courses. But I think the Chevy streak continues. I think Chase Elliott wins. He hasn't won on a road course all year, even though he's looked really good. I think he finally wins at a road course. He wins at the Roval to advance. So your two winners are Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott to advance to the next round, with Jones getting the other win as a non-playoff driver. And who makes it through? Well, as I said, it's going to be close for Toyota. They've been so good all year, but this round just does not suit them at all with super speedways. They don't have the numbers at super speedways. They have bad luck at super speedways, and they've been so bad at the road courses this year. But I do have a Toyota in my round of 8. I have one of them getting eliminated. I guess I have 2 in the round of 8 with Kyle Busch win. So let's look at my round of 8. Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, and out and wins, as I said. I think Larson, Reddick, Chastain, Logano, Blaney, and Hamlin all make the round of 8. So yeah, it's tough. This was a tough call. Honestly, this has been one of the toughest playoff brackets I've had to make ever. Like, usually there's a couple easy eliminations in the first round, and then the second round you're like, oh, there's some guys who are definitely going through, but this year it's tough just because of how competitive the field has been, how many winners we've had, how many guys we've had up front. It's very tough to predict. It's very tough to know. But these are the 8 guys I think will survive. You look at Larson and Reddick, how good they've done on the road courses this year. I think they'll do enough at the Roval, maybe do good enough at Texas to get through, but Talladega could be a concern for them. Same thing for Chastain, even though Chastain won there in the spring. It could be, I don't know. Talladega and the Roval just make it so unpredictable that I don't know. Anyways, yeah, that's your round of 8. As I said again, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, and Denny Hamlin. So yes, let's look at my championship 4. Who's going to make it? Who's going to punch their ticket into the championship 4 by winning at Las Vegas? Which driver is it going to be? Answer, none of them. I got a non-playoff driver winning this one too. I think Martin Truex Jr. does not end this season winless. I think he wins at Las Vegas. Looked really good there in the spring. Had an opportunity to win, but a late race caution kind of screwed him. But I think Truex wins there. Toyota's great at the intermediates. He has a couple of Vegas wins. I think he spoils the party for someone. So, yeah, I think Truex wins there. Spoils the party. Only 2 spots available on wins. And that first one, it's a 1.5 miles. Toyota has been so good at the 1.5 miles this year. But I have a Chevy winning at Homestead. I think 2 Chevys could be in contention for the win at Homestead, and that's Tyler Reddick and Kyle Larson. One of them. Who's it going to be? Which one of the guys who loves running right on the wall is going to win at Homestead? I'm going with the 2021 champion. I think Kyle Larson wins that race. I think it's going to be a tough competition for him, but I think he can get it done. You're going to see Reddick up there. You're going to see all 4 Toyotas, or maybe all 6 Toyotas up there. You're going to see a lot of guys fighting for this win, but I think Kyle Larson gets his first ever Homestead win to advance to the Championship 4. So now we have one Championship 4 spot filled by Kyle Larson and his win at Homestead. Martinsville. Who is going to win at Martinsville? We've seen some crazy Martinsville cutoff races in the past. 2020, 2017. Was that a cutoff race in 2017? No, it wasn't. Just kidding. Anyways, point being, we've seen crazy elimination races at Martinsville. The question is, who is going to win? I think Joey Logano wins. Joey Logano's been great at Martinsville. He's got a win back in 2018. He may be in a close points battle, but he is second on the playoff grid currently. But he has been so good at Martinsville, so good at short tracks. I think he finished runner-up in the spring. I think he gets it done. I think he wins at Martinsville to go to the championship 4. Plus, he makes the championship 4 every even-numbered year. 14, 16, 18, 20. I think he makes it in 22. So can the 22 win in 2022? As for the last 2 spots, these are going to be point spots. I'm not going to lie. I almost had this guy out. Because this is the first 2 tracks are not his strongest. He's really good at Martinsville, but he's not as great as Vegas and Homestead. Vegas, he's hit or miss. He either runs top 5 or he crashes out. Homestead, it's sometimes he's top 5, top 10. Sometimes he's like 18th to 20th. So I don't know what to expect from him. But he has such a big points gap, and I gave him 2 wins already. I think the playoff points save him. If it wasn't for the playoff points, I think he'd be out. But the playoff points are going to save Chase Elliott. He's going to make the Final 4. Yeah, I genuinely was between him, Hamlin, and Kyle Busch. Those were the final 3 I had it down to. And Elliott's playoff points are just so much right now. And if he does win a couple more races, that's just going to build such an advantage over these guys that I got him in the Final 4. I don't know how he's going to do at Vegas. Vegas, he was just outside the top 10 in the spring, I think. Homestead, he's had good runs there, but he's not always been great there. In Martinsville, he's always been great as of the last couple of years, so I think that could be his saving race. Running top 5 there, leading laps, getting stage points. But I got him in the championship 4 in the final championship 4 spot. Who's it going to be? Denny Hamlin. I was going to try to make it some drum roll, get your excitement hats on, but Denny Hamlin, this seems like the year that Denny Hamlin could potentially steal a championship. Hamlin had a terrible start to the year. He didn't get a top 10 till his win at Richmond. He's been outside of the top 10 in points all year. At one point, he was outside of the top 20, like later in the season. But he ended up finishing 12th or 13th in the regular season standings. And, you know, after that start, it hasn't been a terrible season, but, you know, overall it's been a terrible season for Denny Hamlin standards. I feel like he could sneak his way into the championship 4 here. That round of 8's really good for him with 2 intermediate tracks in there, and of course Martinsville, which is a really good track for him. So I think Denny Hamlin could sneak into the Final 4, and that's why I have my Final 4 as Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, and Denny Hamlin. Now it's time for my championship pick. You may see that I'm not wearing a hat and think my hair is absolutely freaking insane. It's because it is. My hair is like always crazy. Anyways, that is not the point of this segment. It's time to make my championship pick. We have 4 guys in my championship 4. The 2021 champion, Kyle Larson. He can become the first ever driver in the history of this format to win back-to-back championships. Chase Elliott can become a 2-time champion. He has been so great in the regular season. He has dominated this year. Most wins in the series. Can he close off such a great year for himself in the number 19? Joey Logano has been very good this year, top 5 in points, a couple of wins, won his first championship back in 2018, and he is looking to put the number 22 car in victory lane at Phoenix to become the 2022 champion. So the 22 in 22. Can it happen? And then, of course, we have Denny Hamlin. It seems like a story that has been going on for decades, because I think technically it has. Anyways, Denny Hamlin, one of the best drivers to never win a championship. He has come so close. 2010, 2014, 2019, 2020, 2021. Denny Hamlin, can he break that championship curse and finally deliver a championship to FedEx and Joe Gibbs Racing? Can he break the curse? The year that he is not one of the favorites per se, just by how he did in the regular season, but can he get it done? Let's see. I've got my hats here. I've got a Kyle Larson hat. I got a Chase Elliott hat here. I got a Joe Gibbs Racing hat, and I've got a Team Penske hat. So which driver is going to win it? Well, as you guys all know, I am always loyal to my preseason pick. 2019, I picked Brad Keselowski to win the championship. He had a hot start to the year, won 3 races in the first half of the year, fell off after that, but I stayed loyal to him, and I picked him to win the championship in 2019. He got eliminated in the round of 12. That was upsetting. 2020 preseason, I picked Chase Elliott to win the championship. Going into the playoffs, I think he had a couple wins. He was like 4th or 5th in points, something like that. And he goes on to win the championship. I felt like a genius that year. 2021, I picked Martin Truex Jr. to win the championship, and he went on to finish 2nd in the championship. So I was oh so close. This year, before the season, I picked this guy to win the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series championship. He's won a championship before, so that eliminates Denny Hamlin from this contention. He's won a lot of races in the last couple of years. He won a lot of races last year. He's won a couple this year. Not as many as last year, but he has won a couple. I, of course, am talking about the number 5 of Kyle Larson. I think Kyle Larson wins his 2nd NASCAR Cup Series championship this year, and I think he becomes the first ever driver to become a back-to-back champion in the elimination format. So yes, call it predictable, call it unpredictable, scream at me or agree with me. It's my championship pick. That's who I think is going to win the championship. So, yeah, Larson, I picked him in the preseason. I was like, oh, he was so good last year. He'll surely be good again this year. Obviously, I didn't think he was going to replicate because that would be insane. And he did not. So, yeah. But he has been really good this year. He's won a couple races. He's looked good at different types of racetracks. So, yeah. It's going to be an interesting playoffs. It's going to be interesting championships. So, yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is one of my favorite videos of the year. As much as I hate this stupid format, it is fun to make predictions. It is fun to make a bracket. Even though they don't make printable brackets anymore, which kind of sucks. So I had to do it on notebook paper. Classy notebook paper. Guess every time I do this, I sign it. We're doing Sharpie today. Signing this thing to make it seal of approval to make it somehow legal, I guess. There you go. The light would just, yeah, there's my big ugly signature right there. If you can see it, it looks like you can now. There we go. There is my full playoff prediction and preview video. Kyle Larson will be your 2022 NASCAR Cup Series champion, or he may not be, but let's see if I'm right. That would be insane. That would be so cool if I did another preseason championship getting it right. That would be epic. But I think it's going to be a really fun playoffs. I think we're going to see a lot of contenders. I think we could see some shocks. I think we could see some big names get out early. Just because Chase Elliott has a lot of playoff points doesn't mean he's guaranteed in the Final Four. Look at Kevin Harvick in 2020. So, yeah, seems like every 2 years we get a huge shock in the playoffs. 2020 it was Harvick not making the Final Four. 2018 it was Logano beating the big three. 2016, it was Carl Edwards getting crashed on the final restart and Jimmy Johnson stealing the championship. And 2014, it was Ryan Newman, winless Ryan Newman, almost winning the championship. So every other year, it seems like we just have a bizarre playoff. So I expect another one. Chaos. Yeah. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like, subscribe. We got 3 more championship cases left. I'll do those tomorrow and 1 on Sunday morning. Or no, Sunday afternoon. There's an F1 race on Sunday. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for watching this video. Have a great day.